I'm going to teach a first year class that was supposed to be team taught, but I'm going to teach it alone. And the material is really completely focused on the level of the students. So I think this was a very positive development for me, because I don't need to rely on a language faculty to actually change my texts and deliver it to students. I reached a point where I am able to do it by myself. I know enough about language vocabulary learning as a learner of English as a second language myself. I kind of know where students struggle to understand the content, and I think that development was really important in my career, to be able to tailor my material. And then I got one thing that I never thought I would be able to do, but I distribute material to them that is basically a textbook. I don't have any aspiration on writing textbooks, but it's basically a textbook with the vocabulary that they need. Everything is tailored for their level.
Okay, then based on your experience, which type of international faculty members are easy to accept in the Japanese academia or Japanese university?
Very good question. Very good, because I firmly believe that it's much easier to hire someone who have been in Japan already. Because when you hire someone who have been in Japan, we hired last year someone from Hiroshima. Not Hiroshima University. Hiroshima Joshi Daigaku. And that person came here, and she has no problems whatsoever with the way things are done, because she has experience in other Japanese universities. She knows how bad some processes are, but Japanese people do it anyway, right? So she avoids conflict. But if you get people coming from US, Canada, some parts of Europe, they, as I said before, they come with a different mentality. That diversity is a different thing, and they lack the Japanese culture understanding. So it's really difficult to work with them.
Okay. That is because of the mindset. But how about the language issue?
Well, we everything is in English in my
so
like the work, is no problem. The problem is, and we give some support, like housing, not money, but like to search for a house. People need a car or get the driver's license. The faculty, as a body, people help each other a lot. So we even have one part of the orientation is about living in Japan, living in Miyazaki. New faculty members, they all go through the orientation process, and they learn how to do the paperwork, how to do the team teaching classes, how to teach students in a second language, and how to live in Japan. Think from kids looking at you on the street and pointing and screaming gaijin, gaijin, to garbage separation. So we have pretty much everything covered. So there is no problem in the sense that, of course, some people don't adapt. And we had cases where the guy came to MIC, he loved the job, students loved him, but his family didn't adapt to Japan. And then he went back to US because really the personal life was terrible. He would arrive home and then, I don't know, like his kids have been bullied at school because they were not really Japanese. The wife didn't really have friends because the way of thinking was different. So that builds up, and then he left. I know we have people who come and then say, this is not a real university. I don't want to teach at this level. I want to teach at a higher level, and then they find job elsewhere. But other than that, people are happy Well, they're not happy with their contract, but they're happy with the teaching style and the atmosphere.
Then what do you think of the job market prospects in the Japanese academia?
I think Japanese academia was pretty unfair to foreign faculty, in a sense because I think I don't know if it's culture, but when I talk with the language teachers in particular, people tell me terrible stories about universities that would renew their contract twice and then that's it. Go on the next job, look for another job. I understand that they were doing that to not characterize permanent employment, but it is not humane. It's really like you give a job to a person and then that person is not really doing 100% because the person is looking for another job already. And then when you get those faculty, if they come just to have a good time in Japan, they are just here for a short term, no problem. But the problem is when those people start getting married and they really want to stay in Japan because they like the lifestyle. And it's really like looks like the Japanese universities are just using them while they need them, but they are disposable. And when you start treating people as disposable resources, then I think it's kind of an ethical problem. So that's one thing that I really like in our university. It's like, okay, 2-year contract, renewable, but there is no limit. Contracts will be renewed forever. If you don't get arrested, it's pretty much a permanent position. But so I like that, and many people who have worked in other universities in Japan, they come here and they like that thing, that they don't have to be looking for a job. And I heard that from 2020, 2021, Monkasho wants to do at least 10% of every university, right? So that I think will shake a little bit things. I think universities will start looking to hire more people, but unfortunately, what I think will happen is that they will try to bend the rules. And what do I mean with that is, Monkasho says that 10% of international faculty, but you can have Japanese people who are pretty much international. Monkasho didn't say 10% of faculty from other countries.
I
See? And Japanese people are really smart with words. You can say one thing, but then you say, no, that's not what it means. It's like, so I think that's what will end up happening. They will get Japanese people to teach classes, and they will just say, oh, this is our international faculty. He have been in JICA for 2-3 years.
Yes.
He's been somewhere else. He got his PhD in US, Canada. So he is international, right? And the other thing that I also think will happen is that university will start hiring people who are already in Japan. People who are already married, have already a visa, because again, they are easier to work with. So I don't know how it will unfold, but I am expecting that many of my colleagues will start leaving to other universities in Kyushu and other areas of Japan. So I think it will be very hard for us to keep the foreign faculty, the good ones. But at the same time, I'm not really sure that will happen, because the way I can foresee universities playing with the international world. So
okay. Then how can I say? As you expect, like, where would you be in 5 years, and what would you do in 5 years?
In 5 years, one thing that I'm really interested right now is the Monkasho just ruled a decision about teaching programming to elementary school kids. And this is one thing that I think it's a huge opportunity for me. Why? Because as I mentioned